September 2021, Moab, Utah. We got on the road fairly early. The sun was up and in our eyes as we left Hill Air Force Base, making our way to Moab, Utah. Getting out of the RV park was easy. Traffic wasn't really all that bad and the road was plenty wide. Getting off of the base, though, that's always fun. Every military base I've been to always has these obstructions to keep people from running the gate, and they're meant to slow cars down, but boy is it hard to get through these things with an RV. Not far past these zigzags and I am heading for the freeway. It's almost time to start making some decent time. With the sun in our eyes, we hit the freeway. And since we're going south, we get one last look at Salt Lake City as we pass it up and make our way down to the canyons of Moab. We didn't spend much time on the freeway before we turned east and ended up in the mountains, making our way. At this point, the drive got just a little bit more challenging. There was a couple of steep grades going up and going down, and controlling your speed, that's important. But no problem. The drive was good, and in no time at all, we were in Moab, pulling in to the RV park. As far as RV parks go, this was a good one, at least for us. Flat spots, that's important. Good power, good water, good sewer. And this one even had a nice view. Janet and I aren't that much for the amenities. Everything we need is in the RV. So as long as it's flat, good power, water, and sewer, we are happy. Normally, we don't go anywhere after a full day's drive, but this time we made an exception. We set up the RV, we cleaned up, and we headed downtown to see what was available. Moab is a neat little tourist town. Lots of shops, lots of restaurants, and even one or two bars, including a distillery and a brewery, which we took advantage of. We spent a couple of hours wandering around town and of course having a beer before we finally called it a night, had our nightcap, and headed on home. The next morning we hit the road trying to make our way to Arches National Park. However, Arches was actually closed. It turned out that the park was completely full, and when it gets full, they shut the front gate until some people leave. Okay, so we shift to plan B and head on down to the Canyonlands National Park. This area, Moab, is a nice location for parks. You've got Arches National Parks, Canyonland National Parks, Dead Horse Point State Parks, and a whole bunch of other attractions all in this area. Today we're driving through the Canyonlands National Park. This trip is meant to be just a drive-through. We don't plan to do any big hikes. We just want to get a lay of the land, and then we'll figure out what we're going to do during our time here. So we drove through the park, checked out whatever we could see from the road, picked up some literature from the visitor station, and thoroughly enjoyed our day driving through this park, because even from the road there was so much to see. As you drive through this park, you understand why they call this place Canyonlands. There are canyons all over the place. And even though this isn't Arches, even Canyonlands has an arch or two all its own. This arch was about a 500-foot walk from the road. Easy peasy. And this is Schaefer Road. I think I want to drive it. We're going to see if we can do that later on in the week. We spent most of the day going from one breathtaking view to another, but eventually we had to stop for lunch with a view. This time, lunch with a view came with company. It seemed somebody else thought that our lunch was a good lunch to have, so they joined us. No problem, we don't mind sharing. After enjoying lunch with our new friend, we did just a little bit more walking around, all very close to the road, took in another bunch of breathtaking views that just seemed to go on, and started to make our way home. We actually noticed this sign on the way up, a sign for cows. We drove a long way, and let me tell you, there was no sign of cows anywhere in that park. The ride back to Moab was pleasant. And you know what's kind of weird? We drove the exact same road that we drove in, but it looks so much different going back out. It's amazing what's behind you, and you just don't know it until you turn around and look. The next day, we got up bright and early and headed to Arches because we were going to get in there before the park filled up and closed up. The plan for the day, pretty much the same as yesterday, except for Arches. We were going to drive through the park, see what we can see, and make our plans for the rest of the week and the hikes we wanted to take. Arches and Canyonlands are not far apart, but boy are they different. Arches has rock formations all over the place, and they all look different, and they have names for most of them. I spotted this one and named it Proud Man Standing. Why? Because to me it looks like a proud man standing. So that's his head. You can see his eyes and the look on his face. And if you use your imagination, you can see he has his arms folded across his chest in front of him. Down below his chest and his waist, you can see two legs standing on either side of what appeared to be a little platform. Now I know it looks like he has 3 legs, but he doesn't, and that's why he is Proud Man Standing. Anyway, just one of many formations in this park. We spent several hours driving through the park. The plan was to drive through all of it. We didn't do it. There was just too much left to drive. But we have an idea of what it is we want to do tomorrow. So we're going to break up this 2 weeks into 3 and 4 day parts. And each part is going to concentrate on one of the many parks around here. So we're spending 2 weeks here in Moab. And maybe 2 weeks just might not be enough. We'll have to see how it goes. So we have lots more time here in Utah, and next week our video is either going to be Arches or the Canyonlands. We just don't know which it's going to be yet. But I certainly hope that we'll see you here next week for whichever one it is.